50 Cent is coming.
No one's ever asked me if I'm afraid of Jay-Z.
Fans are shaken after new hospital footage involving Jay-Z and 50 Cent surfaced online, instantly sparking serious questions about what really happened behind the scenes. What looked quiet for years suddenly feels wide open again. What began as a rap clash has stretched into one of hip-hop's longest and most stubborn feuds, and it didn't happen overnight. The roots go back to a single move that flipped the industry's attention switch. So let's rewind, because the origin story matters. It was 1999, and 50 Cent was still an underground rapper from Queens, fresh off surviving being shot 9 times. He needed attention fast, needed his name ringing everywhere, and he made a risky decision that forced the culture to look his way. He dropped a track that openly threatened to rob every famous rapper in the game. The song, How to Rob, had 50 calmly listing hip-hop's biggest names and breaking down how he'd take their jewelry and embarrass them in public. Jay-Z was on that list, with 50 rapping about taking his watch and chain like it was light work. This wasn't reckless, it was calculated. 50 was unsigned, had no major label backing, no protection, but he had one major edge. He had nothing to lose. By putting every superstar on blast, he forced them to acknowledge him, whether they liked it or not. Jay-Z chose not to ignore it. At Hot 97 Summer Jam in 1999, Jay hit the stage and freestyled over Biggie's Who Shot Ya beat. Then he dropped the line that would echo for decades, saying, "I'm about $1, what is 50 cents?" And the crowd exploded. But that moment didn't close the chapter. It quietly set the tone for years of tension, and the ripple effects from that single bar are still being felt today. Before the performance even happened, Jay-Z crossed paths with 50 Cent backstage, and that moment carried serious weight. According to multiple accounts, Jay walked right up to him and made it clear a response was coming. No sneak shots, no chaos. He warned him face to face, showing respect before checking him publicly.
I remember one time walking in the studio, Bleak Beans, everybody was in there, and I was like, man, I'm telling you, man, y'all got a chance right now, just flood it, put out a lot of music, because 50 Cent is coming. And, you know, 4 months later, in the club hit and it was over. And it was just like, okay, now everybody got to sit on the sidelines and wait this tidal wave out.
Jay-Z already saw the storm forming. Behind the scenes, he warned the entire Rockefeller camp that 50 Cent was about to shake the game. He told Beanie Siegel, Memphis Bleak, and the rest of the roster to flood the streets with music because once 50 arrived, attention would be scarce. Just 4 months later, Power of the Dollar started circulating, and just like Jay predicted, the industry had to make room. That brief exchange set the tone for everything that followed. Jay-Z stood tall as the untouchable king, too rich and too established to react to street-level shots. 50 Cent leaned fully into the role of the agitator, the relentless underdog who kept swinging until someone cracked. Those roles haven't changed in over 25 years. The Hot 97 moment has been broken down endlessly. Most of what exists today comes from interviews and retellings, not raw live footage. The clips rely on old images while narrators explain what went down. Jay-Z delivered his freestyle dismissal on stage, and 50 watched it all unfold from backstage. No punches flew, no security rushed in. This was hip-hop beef in its purest form, lyrical, competitive, and contained. The violence tied to 50's career came later, but never between him and Jay-Z. His entire approach was built on confrontation, going at Ja Rule, Murder Inc., and anyone else who crossed the line. But the situation with Jay-Z was always different. They never rushed into all-out war. Instead, they circled each other for years, trading slick subliminals and sharp public jabs without crossing certain lines. It was calculated on both sides. Jay had too much to lose getting dragged into street-level chaos, and 50 had real respect for what Jay had already built. They kept it lyrical and political, magazine interviews, radio freestyles, quiet shots wrapped in clever bars. Both men understood the rules, even when tension stayed thick. Still, that line kept getting tested again and again. Album battles, power plays. And then came the Kanye factor, which changed the temperature entirely. By 2003, everything shifted. 50 Cent went from underground noise to a full-blown cultural force. His debut album, Get Rich or Die Trying, exploded, selling over 800,000 copies in its first week. The same guy Jay once brushed off as pocket change was now one of the biggest artists on the planet. That success flipped the whole dynamic. 50 wasn't punching up anymore. He was standing toe-to-toe as a real competitor with massive sales, a ride-or-die fan base, and serious backing from Eminem and Dr. Dre. What started as rookie testing turned into a legit rivalry. When Jay-Z announced his retirement with the Black Album in 2003, 50 didn't let it slide. He dropped Life's on the Line, subtly suggesting Jay was stepping away to avoid the smoke. The message was slick but loud. Jay wasn't retiring by choice. He was ducking the new era 50 helped create. Jay fired back smart, not sloppy. On Moment of Clarity, one of the standout tracks from his so-called farewell album, he challenged the idea that platinum numbers were the only scorecard. He framed himself as bigger than sales, bigger than trends, bigger than 50's moment, and that retirement, it didn't last. Jay-Z came right back, reclaiming the mic while holding power as president of Def Jam Records, proving the chess game between these two was far from over. That dual role gave Jay-Z a serious edge in the rivalry. He wasn't just competing with 50 Cent on records anymore. He was controlling the board behind the scenes, artist on the mic, executive in the office. And that power would shape the most explosive chapter of their long-running standoff. The breaking point came in 2007, September 11th, to be exact. Two of the biggest albums of the year dropped on the same day. 50 Cent released Curtis, while Kanye West unleashed Graduation. The industry froze, fans picked sides, and 50 felt untouchable. He was so confident that he made a bold public bet. If Kanye outsold him, 50 said he would retire from making solo music. No hedging, no fine print. The stakes were massive. Up to that point, 50 had never lost a commercial battle. His first two albums crushed the charts, and he truly believed he couldn't be beaten. Then the numbers came in. Kanye's Graduation sold around 957,000 copies its first week. Curtis landed at roughly 691,000. The crown slipped. And even though 50 didn't retire like he promised, the damage was done. That loss marked a real turning point. The unstoppable run was officially stopped, and 50 knew exactly where to point the finger. Jay-Z was president of Def Jam. Kanye was signed to Def Jam, and the label went all in pushing Graduation. Years later, in Hustle Harder, Hustle Smarter, 50 praised Jay's business mind, but slid in a sharp accusation. He implied Jay couldn't beat him directly, so he used his executive power to make sure someone else did.
Okay then, so that's good advice. Now, Jay-Z.
Yeah, you got him in trouble. See, you got him in trouble because Jay-Z came here.
Because you think it was on this show which put it out there?
Yeah, you did. Because he was saying nothing like that any other place. You know, do you know him to be aggressive or to start? He said something about me first on your show.
In the 50s version of events, the businessman beat the rapper, not with bars, but with boardroom moves. Whether that take is fair is still debated. Kanye's album genuinely hit hard, packed with songs that defined the late 2000s. But for 50, that day cemented a belief he never let go of, that Jay-Z played chess while everyone else was still rapping. The Daft Punk sample on Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger turned Kanye's record into an unstoppable hit. And a lot of people believe the truth is simple. Kanye may have just made the better album. But 50 Cent has never accepted that explanation. In his mind, that 2007 loss wasn't organic, it was engineered. To 50, the defeat was designed from the top down. Jay-Z didn't beat him on the mic, he beat him through power. Label leverage, industry muscle, corporate pressure that traditional competition could never match. And that belief stuck with him. That moment planted resentment that would simmer for the next 20 years. 50 later broke it down during an interview with Tim Westwood. What hit him hardest wasn't even the sales numbers. It was something Jay-Z said casually during an earlier interview in the same chair. Jay had declared, unprompted, that nobody was afraid of 50 Cent. It came out of nowhere. No pressure, no setup. And to 50, that revealed more than Jay probably intended. In the 50's eyes, that comment cracked the polished image Jay had built. The former Brooklyn street rapper had transformed into a corporate executive, a billionaire businessman, married to Beyoncé, clean-cut and controlled. The glasses signaled intelligence. The calm tone suggested a man above the chaos. But on Westwood's show, something slipped. That old Jay-Z, the battle-tested hustler from street corners and ciphers, felt the need to say he wasn't afraid. And 50 caught it immediately. To him, it wasn't confidence, it was insecurity dressed up as dominance. If the 2007 album battle was corporate warfare, what followed next would feel much more raw, much more personal, and far less controlled. This was 50 Cent at his boldest, crashing a moment that was meant to crown someone else. The setting was a packed New York City concert with Jay-Z, Kanye West, and T.I. on stage. The energy was off the charts. T.I. had just declared Jay-Z the king of New York. a full-on coronation for the Roc-A-Fella boss. Jay was lining up the next big moment, getting ready to introduce Kanye. Everything was perfectly staged for a clean celebration of hip-hop royalty. Then chaos stepped in. 50 Cent suddenly appeared, pushing past security, elbowing through bodies, forcing his way onto the stage without hesitation. Jay-Z reacted on instinct. He threw out a quick clothesline-style block to stop the intrusion, but 50 wasn't there to fight. He wasn't swinging. He wasn't yelling. He was there to embarrass. What happened next felt unreal. 50 started running circles around Jay-Z, T.I., Kanye, and everyone else on stage. No words, no punches, just laps. The crowd exploded in confusion and hype, and the symbolism hit hard. The so-called King of New York stood frozen while his rival literally ran rings around him on his own stage. 50 didn't need to explain anything. The image spoke loud.
Yeah, but really he should have been making it clear with you.
Which he didn't.
He didn't make it clear with you that he's not a punk. See, at that point, his safe presentation, he's not identifying with the transition and difference and the perception of Jay-Z. Now he's really safe. And people feel comfortable with him because they know he's not going to do anything inappropriate or try not to is inappropriate. Meanwhile, when he's saying he's not afraid of 50 Cent, why would you have to make that clear when no one's ever asked me if I'm afraid of Jay-Z?
Tony Yayo later called the move crazy during an interview on Club Shay Shay, saying this was classic 50 behavior, unpredictable, disruptive, fearless. The moment didn't turn violent. Eventually, the tension melted into what people described as a love fest, with everyone performing together like nothing had happened. But something absolutely had happened. 50 had made his point. He proved he could enter any room, any stage, and steal the spotlight through pure presence. Jay-Z might have been the executive, the billionaire, the boss, but 50 was still the wild card. This moment often gets misdated as 2005, but it actually happened closer to 2007, right in the middle of the album battle era. And it showed the rivalry was never just business. It showed a whole new front in their long-running war. If 50 couldn't beat Jay-Z in pure sales, he could still embarrass him in public. That was the play. The footage from that night has been replayed over and over, and every time you watch it, the energy is clear. Jay-Z looks irritated as his carefully planned moment gets hijacked, while 50 is smiling like someone who knows he just flipped the script. That grin mattered. 50 knew exactly what he was doing, and he knew the cameras were rolling. This wasn't random chaos, it was intentional disruption. A reminder that status doesn't always protect you when someone's willing to crash the party. 50's comments about Jay-Z's glasses go way deeper than fashion talk. In street culture, how you carry yourself means everything. Image is language. Presentation is power. And Jay-Z's shift from gritty street rapper to polished executive signaled something important to 50. The tailored suits, the glasses, the controlled tone, all of it suggested Jay had stepped away from the streets. To someone like 50, who still carries the image of a 9-time shooting survivor, that shift looked like softness. In his world, real street figures don't need to announce they're not afraid. Saying it out loud can sound like doubt creeping in. And then there's the Beyonce factor. You can't break down the Jay-Z and 50 Cent dynamic without addressing the biggest presence in the room. Beyonce didn't just change Jay-Z's personal life. She reshaped his public image and, according to 50, his entire career path. 50's argument is simple but controversial. Before Beyonce, Jay-Z had one major Grammy win. After the marriage, the awards started piling up. The implication is heavy. That Jay's rise in artistic recognition had less to do with bars and more to do with proximity to pop's biggest superstar. That theory has floated around hip-hop circles for years. The so-called Beyonce effect turned Jay-Z into more than a rapper. He became half of a global power couple plugged into mainstream influence where doors open faster and trophies come easier. The transformation 50 Cent talks about is real, even if his take on it stays controversial. Jay-Z absolutely shifted from street rapper to full-blown business mogul. He became cleaner, safer, more digestible for mainstream audiences, and the awards started stacking up way faster than they ever did before the Beyonce era. Now, how you explain that shift depends on who you ask. Jay-Z would say it's growth, maturity, evolution, a natural progression of an artist leveling up. But 50 sees something colder. To him, it looks like strategy, image control, a calculated alignment with the biggest female star on the planet to lock in industry favor. Where 50 really digs in is on international numbers. This is where he gets specific and confident. Outside the US, where marketing budgets can't shape perception as easily, he says the results speak louder. His music hit harder globally. His albums move more units. His reach was wider. That's 50's most cutting critique. In America, perception can be built through media spending, relationships, and perfectly timed partnerships. Jay-Z is elite at that game. He's patient, connected, and knows how to shape a long-term image that benefits him. But internationally, where those tools don't work the same way, 50 claims the scoreboard changes. He says his music connected more naturally without the same industry push. Bigger impact, bigger sales, bigger presence. Whether that argument holds up under deep scrutiny almost doesn't matter. What matters is this: 50 believes it fully, and that belief has fueled his view of Jay-Z for years, turning respect into rivalry and rivalry into something personal. 50 Cent's claim cuts sharp. He argues that Jay-Z's dominance is a manufactured illusion, one that starts to crack the moment you step outside American borders. It's bold, confrontational, and meant to sting. The statement that really keeps the rivalry alive is this one. 50 says he accomplished in just 4 years what it took Jay-Z 15 to build. That kind of comparison isn't accidental. It's designed to provoke, to demand attention, and to keep Jay's name tied to his own in the public conversation. At the core of it, 50 refuses to accept second place. Not in actions, not in legacy, not in impact. And as of December 2025, Jay-Z still hasn't offered a major public response to the ongoing jabs. His move has been silence. That silence is a strategy. Jay-Z plays the long game. Meanwhile, 50 keeps posting, implying, poking, and generating headlines. His strategy is engagement, constant pressure, staying loud while the other side stays quiet. So fans keep asking the same question: who really won? And the truth is, there's no clean answer because they're not even playing the same game. Jay-Z measures success by net worth, industry power, and cultural acceptance. 50 Cent measures success differently. He values authenticity, fearlessness, and saying what others won't. By Jay-Z's metrics, he clearly won. By 50's metrics, selling out and stacking trophies don't mean much. Some observers think the trolling is smart marketing. Every post feeds attention for 50's Netflix project, Sean Combs' The Reckoning. Every Jay-Z jab gets picked up and recycled into headlines, keeping 50 front and center. Others see real bitterness. Jay-Z became a billionaire, married Beyonce, collected Grammy after Grammy, and built an empire that, on paper, dwarfs what 50 achieved. And that contrast is exactly why this rivalry still refuses to die. In this version of the story, the trolling is framed as what happens when an aging rival refuses to accept being surpassed. That's the narrative some people push, especially when it comes to 50 Cent's nonstop commentary about Jay-Z. 50 has even claimed that Jay-Z tried to block his appearance at the 2022 Super Bowl halftime show. According to 50, the plan was for him to perform alongside Eminem, Dr. Dre, and the rest, but Jay allegedly used his influence to keep him out. 50 says Eminem had to step in and threaten to pull out entirely just to make sure 50 stayed on the lineup. Because of Roc Nation's relationship with the NFL, Jay-Z allegedly had the leverage to do that. And in 50's telling, Jay tried to use it. Whether that's true or not, 50 believes it fully, and he's repeated the story more than once. This is where 50's approach to the beef really shows. He watches everything, screenshots everything, and flips every public move into content. Every appearance becomes part of his long-running campaign of mockery. Take the Mufasa movie premiere. Jay-Z and his family showed up while legal controversies were swirling. Was it just a scheduled commitment or was it bad timing? 50 didn't hesitate. He framed it as damage control, a calculated attempt to project family values while pressure was building. 50 and those close to him also go straight at the legal language. Jay-Z publicly challenged accusers to press criminal charges, which sounds strong on the surface. But 50 points out that if the statute of limitations has passed, the challenge is empty. Confident tone, no real risk. And here's the twist. Despite all the shots, jabs, and long memory, both men have repeatedly expressed mutual respect in interviews over the years, which makes this rivalry even more complicated than it looks. Despite all the tension, both sides have given each other credit over the years. 50 has openly called Jay-Z a genius music executive, while Jay-Z has acknowledged 50's resilience and ability to survive anything the industry throws at him. That mutual respect even played out publicly in 2010 when they performed together at Yankee Stadium during Jay-Z and Eminem's Home and Home tour, a rare ceasefire in their long-running Cold War. Business has a way of cooling tempers. In 2012, 50 partnered with Jay's Rock Nation for boxing promotions. They also crossed paths on ventures like 50's SMS audio headphones. When money was involved, the beef could pause, but it never fully disappeared. It just evolved. From diss records to corporate chess moves to social media trolling. The platforms changed, the weapons changed, the roles didn't. 50 Cent stayed the agitator. Jay-Z remained the polished target. That contrast is what makes this rivalry iconic. It's street hustler bravado versus calculated empire building, sales battles, stage stunts, online jabs, a blueprint that later rivalries, including Drake versus Kendrick Lamar, would follow. So who actually won? That depends on how you define victory. Jay-Z has more money, more awards, and more mainstream acceptance. 50 Cent has more street credibility, more willingness to say the uncomfortable stuff, and arguably more raw entertainment value. Both built empires. Both stayed relevant long after their supposed peaks, and both are still trading shots across platforms and generations. Right now, the pattern continues. 50 posts, Jay-Z stays silent. Fans argue nonstop, and somewhere in hip-hop history, that 1999 Summer Jam moment still echoes, "I'm about $1. What is 50 cents?" The answer turns out to be way more complicated than it ever sounded. So here's the real question. Do you think this resurfaced footage reveals something fans were never meant to see, or is it just another carefully controlled narrative? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and tap into the next video on your screen. I'll see you in the next one.